the Stinky Popcorn Boys.
We watch movies and eat popcorn. And you're stinky.
Hello. We are the Stinky Popcorn Boys, just some boys talking about movies and how they made us feel. I am Patrick Basquill, and I'm not anxious. I'm just drawn that way.
And I'm John Gilardi, and I thought this was a pretty good documentary. What are we watching?
Today, you tell us.
You're watching Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the movie that drove Bob Hoskins crazy. The most ambitious crossover event in movie history, I'd say. And we will answer the question, who framed Roger Rabbit? Because we're talking about the movie, like you said, Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yes.
And so we'll be able to say, and also this is like a spoiler warning, is we will say who framed him.
Yes. We're going to go right into spoilers, so
we're going to go right into spoilers.
This was recommended by a listener, Christine. So
of
Nopeville podcast. So
yeah.
Check them out, and thanks to her for the recommendation.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm glad that I could watch this movie again.
I have seen bits and pieces of this as a kid, and I'll say, as watching this as a kid, you don't get it. You don't get what this movie's like. It's not for kids. The kids can watch it, but not that it's inappropriate. It's a PG
on the
movie.
Borderline.
It's borderline enough. Like this, I don't think this was made for kids.
No, absolutely not. Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah, which makes the crossover stuff super impressive too.
Yeah,
like that would not happen today.
Well, the fact that they were able to get all those different IPs, in one place, is a testament to how fucking cool it is.
Yeah,
I think
this movie blew me away. I loved it. Thank
just
you for the recommendation.
Yeah. I want to say too is I really liked just because of the mechanic that we got. We've established, we both watched this movie, and do you think that the pair of legs?
Yeah.
Do you think that is a full cartoon woman, or do you think that they have like
you see it? You see it.
Oh, do they?
It's a man on stilts, and it's real. At least when they pull away. So pay attention when that comes up.
Fuck, I wasn't paying attention.
I actually rewound because I was like, wait, what was that? Like I don't know. Anyways, it's a move. I guess to explain the movie best.
Yeah, give us a synopsis.
I guess without synopsizing, I'm gonna start with the opening scene. It's a rabbit and a baby and a bunch of cartoon antics.
Doing some fucking classic stuff.
If you've seen Bugs Bunny, Tom and Jerry, whatever.
It's more like Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, or Wile E. and the Roadrunner. It's just that Acme kind of cartoon antics. And so it's just this baby and this rabbit, and it's whatever. And then the scene breaks, and you realize they're being filmed.
Yeah.
But they're being filmed by humans, like live action humans. And the cartoons are cartoons in real human space. And so it's essentially Roger Rabbit is this star, and his wife is this other hot star. And, it becomes like a kind of film noir, like detective movie, like classic Hollywood, where someone's murdered and Roger Rabbit's framed. And one of the detectives is reluctantly kind of working with making sure Roger doesn't get wrongfully accused and put away. And there's a nefarious plot that they have to get to the bottom of. And I think that more or less sums up the movie.
That's a pretty good one. I'll say, too, is I thought it was really cool. I'm thinking about it now. It's like, it's just really cool that it's like Roger Rabbit is like, he's a toon, but he's also like an actor at his craft.
Yeah.
So it's like because he's in there watching Goofy. They're watching a Goofy movie later in the movie, and he's like admiring his craft and being like, oh man, he's the best to do it.
His wife even references Goofy.
The timing is so good, and the fact that he's supposed to conjure stars instead of, in this first scene, he's supposed to conjure stars instead of little Tweety birds, and they're like, we want stars, Roger. He's like,
he's like acting his fucking heart out, and the baby is actually like a 40-year-old man voice smoking cigars. God, as soon as I saw this, because I knew there was live action cartoon mix, but I didn't know how it worked. I thought like maybe it was a Space Jam thing.
Yeah.
From my memory and understanding. But as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, I'm fucking in.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
I think it's really good. Oh.
Yeah, so we just saw the stilts with the mom legs.
See, I missed that because it wasn't the same.
Yeah, it wasn't cartoony.
Visual tone.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, this is a world where cartoons are real. They're walking. I guess they have been drawn, so they're established somehow in that way. But I mean, I think it's brilliant. I love it, and I think it resonates with me because I love like movies about making movies or movies that have the movie making process in it.
Yeah.
And then I also love like classic Hollywood feeling movies. I also like movies about classic Hollywood. Like there's so much working, and the Art Deco and the style and all that's so much fun, and the ways it plays with film noir is so good. I mean, even like just the blatant Maltese Falcon that he puts his hat on. It's not like
there's so many jokes within jokes in this.
Yeah.
Well, and also like because you see the like later in this very first like little setup scene as he's leaving the lot, and there's the cattle call, which is it's like when you have a group audition, it's the cattle call. It's like the cattle call audition where it's like a bunch, and it's a bunch of fucking cows and stuff, and it's just like. That's just fucking funny.
Yeah.
It's just so little and so funny, and it's not for. It's almost one of those things where it's like when the writers or the people putting it together are just like, "Hey, wouldn't this be funny if this was in the background?" It's like, yeah, it would be funny if it was in the background, and it's not necessarily the driving force of what's there. It definitely goes to like highlight what the world is, and having that stuff there that's like there and cohesive like that. And just like that little cattle call joke, it sets us up for like just like the 2 bits thing. Like all the various like little like it's like old Hollywood, how they made movies and stuff. And then also just like tropes in cartoons. It's just this movie is such a good example of that thing that I was talking about. And I talk about a bunch is like if this, then what?
Yeah.
You know, it's like if cartoons are real and people make movies with them, then what else? How else is this changed? And I love too that he's like they just work for peanuts. It's just like because
I mean that's like also just good classic comedy, which isn't dead, but you know, jokes are a lot more shock value or sophomoric or whatever, but like just classic comedy, like that's a joke.
Yeah.
You see a lot more in British humor, contemporarily speaking, but it's nice to see it, you know, in the late 80s, something like that. Also for late 80s, this movie looks great.
Yeah, that's what one of the biggest things for me. I was like, man, the blending of the animation.
I had to look it up. I was like, damn, this looks real good.
It's fucking, well, tell us about it. You got to look it up, but it's like, I'll say as someone who didn't look it up, it just looks really good. And the story that I've got about this is that
I mean, it mostly looks timeless.
Yeah, it does, especially because it is of that like old Hollywood feel.
Yeah,
where it's like, hey, I know this, I recognize this. You know, it's just it feels good. Everything is cohesive. Everything is clean. Everything fits, and it's amazing that they were able to production design their way into having it make sense that Roger Rabbit comes into fucking R.K. Maroon's office.
Yeah.
And it's like he doesn't look out of place there, but it also doesn't look out of place for the human characters to be in there by themselves, which is a feat.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's like the overall sepia tone. So like the shading is very like orange and yellow based, which works for California sun, you know, that orange tint on everything.
Yeah.
And so I think that tint makes it work real well of putting them in the space. I don't know. And I mean, already animation is frame by frame done. So like painting over in this case.
Is that what they did?
I mean, in most cases, you know, you have the stork on the bike. You have the bike coming through real.
Oh, the bike is real.
Yeah. So they just have the bike coming through and then they paint it in, you know, and that's what like, so there's different things. And so you have a lot of CGI where you film the reference and you film it so that you can just plug something in. But then you have something like this, which naturally, because it's 2D animation, you have to draw over it. So you can have stand-ins, you can have things being carried, or you can have him holding the gun that's actually a cartoon. Like they just got to paint that in frame by frame. That's a lot of work. It's not just that. But
I love this in the scene where he just shows him the check.
Yeah.
We're talking about Bob Hoskins' character.
And then he gets
Eddie
the cigarettes
Valiant.
from the kids. Like,
Yeah.
that's just like, that's comedy.
I just fucking love this. I just love it. He hops on there, and these kids are fucking old school bums, but they're kids.
And they give him cigarettes.
And I also just like, it tells us so much about Eddie
I
Valiant.
didn't realize the kids were actually smoking. I looked past that.
I just think it's so good that it tells us so much about him that he helps that kid on.
Yeah.
Like, that's
True.
one of the things that's throughout. It's like
Little storytelling there.
Yeah.
Visual storytelling, and you don't have to take any time out to establish who he is via dialogue.
It's also really funny to me, having been to LA a bunch, when he's like, why would I need a car when I live in LA? We got the best public transportation system in the world. It's like, yikes. I wish that were true.
I've never been, so we'll see. But I could also be okay with not ever going. That's one of those things with like content creators. Everyone moved out there in droves, and it's like the only reason it's good to be out there is that you're all close to each other and you can collab.
Yeah.
But you could do that anywhere.
Especially now.
Well, yeah, especially now. And like, you can go to Atlanta, you can go to Southeast North Carolina, you could go to, I was going to say Boston, but that'd be dumb because that's expensive.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the South. Austin's blowing up right now.
Yeah.
And I think
Austin's
a lot of
been blown up for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, you get so many people who are, and I don't want to talk anybody out of going to LA, because it's the same thing as like, there's a balance with it where it's like you go to LA and that's where the big jobs are.
Yeah.
But you know that you're hunting for big jobs there, however you do it, and the bigger your swing, the bigger their strikeout.
Yeah.
You know? Where it's like this, it's like if you're, and I'm just talking about like acting wise, it's like if you're in Wilmington, you're auditioning for jobs here, you're gonna get a line, and that'll be the job that you get. That'll be a big job.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to string smaller things together. If you go to Atlanta, maybe you'll have a little bit bigger of a job, or like you'll have 3 or 4 lines and you appear in like 3 episodes, you know? And so it's like, it's what do you want to, there's a lot of stuff, but the world is so open right now.
Yeah. Or
You know?
closed.
Yeah.
But
it is both things simultaneously, as is the world. It is hypocritical of itself.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I guess what I was saying about, so it's pretty cool how they're able to just take advantage of the difficulty of 2D animation being frame by frame.
Yeah.
Like, well, we just got to paint over this anyways.
yeah.
Which the funny thing is, what I was going to transition to, and another like distracted offshoot is in Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
They just had Andy Serkis be reference and acted out, but
Yeah.
there was no mocap or anything. It was just like, all right, 3D animators, animate and paint over this.
Oh, wow. They didn't even do mocap on him?
No, I'm pretty sure they didn't, or at least for a lot of things they didn't.
He was just there as reference doing it, and they were like,
at least, I mean, I could be overshooting, but at least for the river scene where he's chasing the little fish down the river, he's crawling through.
okay.
But
Huh.
I know for a fact that Peter Jackson doesn't shoot for animators. He just shoots what he wants to shoot,
And then
and
it's
he
like,
tells them what he wants in there.
which is almost, I don't know. Now, I'm sure that the animators don't appreciate that. But I don't know. I was like, it is almost like with Sonic, where they took Sonic and they made him real. It's like, I almost prefer this, where the color tones are the same. It is kind of like the shading is different. It's like it's almost, again, like they're lit differently.
It's just very shaded. Like, it's the same thing you notice in Space Jam. It's the same,
but
it's better animated, more frames, more smooth animation. But it's the shading, the cell shading. It's like there's more roundness to it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big thing. The colors are deeper.
But I think too, it's different than like,
Because they have to blend it in with the real person. Because that person's impacted by lighting, so they got to match those sources.
but they also do a good job of like, they're drawn characters or whatever sort, like, you
With
know,
cameras moving in 3D space too.
and man, I'm just like thinking about how fucking crazy this was. I'm
Yeah.
just like, I guess I'm just now thinking about it. because of how good it is.
I think
You know?
one of the
But I think what I wanted to say just real quick before I let you jump in is like the animated characters feel like they feel in their own space,
yeah.
but they are different a little bit. Like they feel like they're, when there's like a reimagination of a character and you're like, that is not the redesign that I would have liked.
Yeah.
It's like they're not like really, really redesigned. They're just like
Redrawn by someone else.
Yeah, they're just redrawn, and it feels, I don't know, man. It's like it's hard to explain because it's the way that I'm feeling. Obviously, I'm not articulating it super great.
Yeah.
But it just makes me happy because it fits the space, but it's not the original. Like they're not trying to recreate the original and take it in it.
Yeah.
But they still capture the same feeling of it.
Yeah, and I don't think that's. I think the goal there is they're just trying to translate them into real life.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think they succeed.
Yeah, I mean it's with Space Jam, and I think this looks just as good as Space Jam, which they're spaced out by 8 years of time, where Space Jam's newer.
Mm-hmm.
And this looks. I mean, there's a little bit more fidelity with Space Jam, but it's negligible.
I mean, I would say that just in terms of. Because I think in Space Jam, I mean, if you were to probably do like a breakdown of like time by time, like I would say that there's probably more of Michael Jordan in Toon World, than there is.
That's definitely limited in this.
Which I think is almost more impressive. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's harder because that's green screening and matting, where in this it's just painting over.
Yeah,
which isn't. Again, not just adjust, but it's like I don't know. Anyone could shoot something and then have a really good animator draw something in there. Yeah.
But that and then again, just following off of that, sort of the same thing is Bob Hoskins, the actor who plays Eddie Valiant.
Yeah. He
like is famously like had like a really hard time because he was like an old school actor, so he saw himself. He saw those things there. He kind of gave himself like a little schizophrenia, where he had trouble. He had to go to like the psychiatrist and check himself into like mental facilities. Where he was like, I am seeing Roger. He's in the corner of my eye. He's right there.
What the hell?
because you see like how engaged he is with these characters and he interacts with these guys so much. And you got to think about it, too, as, like, this was sort of, like, probably not the first, but, like, one of the... Obviously, it's successful because of the blending of it so well. And part of it is the commitment of Bob Hoskins to the bit, where he is... he's looking at him. He's having that conversation with Betty Boop. And, like, he's enamored. He's there. He's with Roger. He's frustrated. He grabs him by the ears, and it's like shit. This is the way that he knows how to do it. Is the way that he knows how to make it good is to like fully put himself there. And so
commit to the bit.
And so it's like what that does to your mind.
I think,
which I just think is like funny. I know Bernard.
Yeah, we got Bernard in here in front of the show, dog.
Friend of the show, Bernard.
Just crying because he's not getting the attention he wants.
I know.
But I think as the movie goes on, there's another scene where like, sick, I'm in, is the clubhouse scene. And no, it's not just a grab it. It's just the fact that you see Daffy and Donald Duck doing a piano number together. And that's just that, because like there's Dumbo in there and I'm like, what's the crossover here? But then when you see Daffy Duck and Donald Duck, then you're like,
oh shit!
It makes us super impressive. And this, I mean, this was, I think Disney wasn't always prolific, and who knows, maybe this was something they were more open to do because they need money or whatever, or just different times. Like you're in between David Eisner and Roy and Walt Disney, and
Well, and you could also
So-
see because this was before sort of the
Renaissance.
the Renaissance, the re-Disneyfication in '88.
This is 88.
You know, so it's like you got to think that maybe they were approaching whatever this deal was. Because I don't think that happens. I don't think that
This doesn't happen
Mickey
today.
Mouse doesn't show up in this movie.
Yeah, and then seeing Mickey Mouse opposite of Bugs Bunny.
Yeah,
Like that shit's cool. Like 'cause
having them play with each other. And
Yeah.
be like, oh,
and like Mickey kind of being
He's-
mischievous. Like
he's still Mickey Mouse.
he's
but
still Mickey Mouse, but he's an adult. Like
Yeah.
like I don't know. Like
He's like, oh boy, I'm living in my life. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not performing for you.
Yeah.
You know?
he's like, all right, do you want to take that?
Are you sure you want to take the spare from it?
Yeah,
Yeah, ain't I a stinker?
yeah. It's like it's so good, and seeing Donald and Daffy and like.
Well, and
To
even
me,
Betty Boop too, where
Yeah,
it's like
it's
they're
like, oh.
just they're bridging those gaps.
Yeah.
In line. It's so fucking cool.
Well, it's like the whole Marvel crossover, and it's all from the same franchise. But then even the most recently, Ready Player One was like, oh, an unprecedented
yeah.
integration and stuff. And obviously, this is just tied to cartoons, but like, this is super impressive to me and super cool and super ahead of its time. You know, I think people like crossovers because it's like, you know, playing in the backyard with your different action figures
Yeah.
and seeing how your favorite people would meet and stuff
You
like
get,
that.
you get to have Aragorn fighting the Red Ranger, and then they become on the same team,
Yeah.
and it's like,
I mean, it'll never happen, but it would be cool to see some like way off the wall
yeah.
crossover with something like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. I don't know. Make it work. Figure it out.
Yeah, make it work for us. Well, that's one of the things that it was like, I both like rolled my eyes at when they were like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Transformers like are connecting up or whatever. Wasn't there something with the Teenage
I'm
Mutant
sure
Ninja
it's
Turtles?
possible. I mean, it's Hasbro.
You
so
know,
it's same
where it's-
property.
But it's like, I don't know, I'm rolling my eyes at it because it's like these are both like sort of Michael Bay properties.
Yeah.
Michael Bay, excuse me.
Michael
Bray. He does Bray because he's a jackass. Hey, there we go. Never mind. It was a Freudian slip. I'm just kidding. I would love to work on a Michael Bay film. I heard he's really fun.
I was on my Letterboxd, and they're like, "Hey, join Pro to see crazy stats." I'm like, "Fuck it." I've like been super like I've been logging everything.
Yeah.
I want to see these stats, so I paid like the $20 for a year. So I'll just not do it after a year.
Yeah.
But Michael Bay is my second most watched director, first to Steven Spielberg, which I knew because he's my favorite. Not that that's an original thing,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm not trying to be an individual here, but
Yeah, Steven Spielberg is my favorite.
yeah.
director. I love movies by Christopher Nolan.
Ooh, that's even. I think that in today's world, that's like pseudo
Yeah.
trying to be dope.
Well, that's like if you were to say David Fincher or something like that.
Yeah,
or-
as a college student, say David Fincher.
yeah.
As a high school student / postgraduate, say Christopher Nolan.
And then now as an adult, you're like, Steven Spielberg. Listen, I'm
Yeah.
not even gonna lie.
Yeah, fuck it. I mean, I've known I liked him for a while. I love how the detective is trying to Valiant, right?
Eddie Valiant.
Eddie
yeah.
Valiant. He's doing his detective stuff, and he catches Jessica Rabbit playing patty cake,
Yeah.
and like you
And
think
the-
like you hear sex noises
The
and stuff
implication is like,
that they're boning.
oh, Acme patty cake, patty cake, patty cake. And then it's like you cut to a picture again, which is like some high class comedy.
Yeah,
It's still slightly adult, but it's still just like that. Like, no, they're actually just playing patty cake,
yeah,
and he's actually upset about it.
because he's a cartoon.
Yeah.
I will. Is it too early to go into my biggest complaint?
Go into your biggest complaint. I don't think it's too early. We've talked. I think
Because I think it's my only one, and it's not a big one.
give it to me, baby.
Actually, I have two.
Oh,
But Roger Rabbit, I don't think he changes or grows enough as a character.
okay. He's a cartoon though.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's a hard thing. But I like his. I'm not that interested in him, and I want to be, but I think he's missing in some integral parts of the story, of moments like where Valiant goes to Toontown.
Mhm.
Like his absence there would be huge, to see how he interact with that, how he's in his home, and I don't know. It just felt weird that he was missing for that, and all it was to do was just to create that intrigue of like, wait, Jessica, what is Jessica Rabbit doing? Did she knock him out?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think we miss. I personally feel like we missed some important Roger Rabbit beats there. And then the second one is the final battle act thing. Just kind of went on probably about 10 minutes too long.
Yeah.
But those are my only two complaints of the whole movie. I really liked it. And I'll keep talking about the things I like, but I those are my negatives. I don't know how those bounce off of you.
I'm gonna see. I think my rebuttal, I guess, if I need a rebuttal, is he's a cartoon. I do think that he does. I mean, he doesn't really grow very much, but he's a cartoon. I don't know how much he's supposed to grow.
Yeah.
But I think that he is, because again, this isn't a movie where it's like, oh, Eddie Valiant needs to figure out how to embrace his inner child and love cartoons again or love tunes again.
Yeah.
And Roger Rabbit isn't there to like, oh, I'm a wild and crazy guy who needs to stop doing my antics. It's like, no, he kind of got framed for murder and he just is who he is.
Yeah.
And there's no reason for him to change, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess that's true.
But also, I mean, I hear you.
He's just such a big part of the movie. That,
yeah. But it's more about Eddie Valiant, and Eddie Valiant comes around. He comes around.
I love that his pain point pillar is that his brother got killed by a tune.
Yeah.
As it's so somber and serious, but like, what? He
They
hates cartoons because his brother got killed by a cartoon, but he's still like a warrior for the cartoon people and representing them and whatever. It's just
and then I think it's great too, is like, I also really love this bit that we're about to go into here, where he gets drunk and he falls asleep looking at these photos, and then we do sort of our expositional crawl where we transition from this, and then we see these photographs, we see these things of his past, and we like track their journey, and it feels really weirdly natural to me.
Yeah.
And it's just like
goofy
cleared of spy charges, but it's just funny to me because they have clowning in their background. You can tell that they have that whimsy or whatever, and it's just interesting to me that
the world is amazing.
Yeah.
I would love to see this world revisited.
And I think maybe that's one of the reasons why.
Sadly, won't happen. But
yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why maybe it's disappointing for you to not see more of Roger Rabbit, is because you want to see more.
Maybe, yeah.
But that's not what the story is about. I
mean, I like the character Valiant, so it's not so much like I need more cartoons.
Yeah.
I really liked him. I really liked the story of him and the human aspect. Me as a kid, or just classic kid, like, I want to see cartoons. I want more seeing them on the screen. The more is when I'm happy, and when it's the humans, I'm tuning out.
Yeah.
I'm not there.
Out.
Oh.
You recognize that guy, the detective on the police force who brings him in?
No.
He's a guy from The New Hope who's like, this Battlestar will not be.
Which he might be in Game of Thrones too.
He might be. I was like, why do I know that guy? Is he a bad guy? I was like, is he a bad guy in like a Bruce Willis movie? Because I know that like I could hear hints of his accent. And
is that Varys or Varys?
No, that's not Varys.
It might be.
I'm pretty sure it's not. That guy's his own guy. That guy? That's not Varys.
I don't know. Look it up after.
Look it up after. Look it up now.
Well, part of another thing I like this movie so much is the sets.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it reminds me of just Disney World and Orlando and theme parking.
Yeah.
Like the big built up queues, and like it's got like a really fake weathering, but you can tell it's not real. I just love that.
But it does feel it again. That's what I was saying. Is like where it feels consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Where it feels consistent that cartoons could be in here and they don't feel out of place, and these humans don't feel out of place.
Yeah. Also, like how it doesn't explain it, too much. Or
because that's just the world that it's in, baby.
Yeah.
It's so fucking great. I greatly enjoyed this movie. I greatly enjoyed this movie.
When was the last time you watched it?
I want to say when I was like 15 or so.
Okay. So it's pretty much, I would say, for the first time
Yeah.
again.
But I knew the Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I guess that was like one of the things where it was really nice to watch it and like watch the background and see all those things, rather than like trying to watch it as a movie. Like I could be like, I could watch the things that are like, hey, I get enjoyment out of this, like because of the little bits, you know.
Yeah.
But it would have been it's. I mean, it's just always nice to see something for the first time.
Yeah. I think again, I had seen bits and pieces, but I wouldn't even have counted that. So this was my first viewing, and like I said, I loved it.
I don't remember, and because as we're watching it, we're about to see Christopher Lloyd for the first time. Also, low-key, those fucking goose-stepping boots. Those fucking goose-stepping boots. Inappropriate.
Jesus.
But also like a little like...
Well, I think overall, as a theme, there's a lot of stuff that wouldn't fly today.
Yeah.
In terms of pushing comedy or
and
children's stuff.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot, like, of the sexualization with Jessica Rabbit and the reaching into her shirt to pull something out.
Hey, nice booby trap.
Yeah, which was a good joke.
It's just a good joke.
And then there's smoking, and there's children smoking, there's guns, there's people
a lot
getting
of drinking.
shot. And this is on Disney Plus, which is interesting. Makes sense.
It makes sense. There's a lot of Disney characters in it. And then there's but I don't remember Christopher Lloyd looking. I remember him looking like that, but I don't remember because it looks like he's got a little prosthetic chin, a little prosthetic nose.
Yeah.
And
I guess they had to make it believable in the end that he was wearing a rubber mask.
Yeah. And like the little lines on his cheeks, the little things. But I don't remember that because again, Christopher Lloyd is Christopher Lloyd. But I think the design of him sort of with his little chin, his white teeth, his little nose. It's like, okay, yeah, this is a mask. I'm with it.
And then the weasels are just like...
I simultaneously hate and love the weasels at the same time.
They're so dumb. And they're not given enough character, but they don't need it. I'm not saying because they don't need it, but it's just like they just exist as piece of shit henchmen and like kind of like a gangster kind of vibe. And there's also one in a straitjacket and one that's like a kind of a kid.
They've got all the different like henchmen that they could be.
Yeah.
There's one in a straitjacket. There's one like kind of bumpkin, goofy one who's got a club. There's the great big one who does the fighting, you know, and then there's the two sort of gangster ones who are sort of opposites of each other, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's just...
And they can't laugh because they'll laugh themselves to death.
Yeah.
Oh, and the same scene. So there's a cute little shoe, and he just needs some attention.
This is essentially like I was just thinking, like this is how this is how we do stuff in Toontown. I was like, you just fucking like
murder each other.
Like he just.
Also, if like Toons can't die, then how is it something that you do in Toontown?
Yeah. Why do you? Why?
Yeah. So
all that cartoon little baby shoe wanted was to say, hey, I'm a little puppy here. I'm just here.
But then Christopher Lloyd fucking murders him.
He's like, how dare you?
He boils him in a vat of a mixture that kills these Toons.
He dissolves him.
He literally kills this thing in a slow, torturous way as it dies alive. Like
that's
it's
not
dying.
Justice, bro.
Yeah.
That's not justice.
And all these dudes just let it happen.
They're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense to me.
It's so...
That doesn't feel like an abuse of power
dark.
or like extreme or excessive in any sort of way.
I just want to adopt that shoe guy and
I know,
save him, man. Like, that made me really sad.
Yeah.
Because it's not even the fact that it was an innocent shoe or just a cutesy character. It's they show the desperate need for attention, and he just chooses the wrong guy.
Yeah.
And it's just twisted. It's
just
sad.
Yeah. Well, and that's what made me think, like, wait a second.
Who's this made for?
What?
I don't know if that's the question you're
No,
going to
that's not.
yourself.
I was like, well, because we get to the end and it's like, wait a second. Why do these weasels want to kill all the Toons? Wait a second.
Oh, duh.
They'll be the only Toons?
No, because they don't want to laugh. Because it'll die. Maybe? I'm putting it together like, we can't laugh because we will die. So let's get rid of the things that make us laugh. Maybe?
Huh. Okay.
I'll
buy it. I'll buy it.
On the spot, put that together in response to you.
But it was also just really nice to see. It was just really nice to see, like, again, like you were saying, classic comedy, like just like that, like it really hits that itch of the.
It hits so many things for me.
Yeah, like
I might move this up to 5 stars.
ooh,
Maybe a 4.5.
I'll give it 4.5 stars. Maybe, I don't know. You'll have to listen to the end to find out.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's just so all the little gags, all the little things, that just hit the whole way. You know, again, like I said, the cattle call. Thanks for the cigarettes, kids. Patty Cake putting his hat on the Maltese Falcon. The goose stepping shoes. Later, whenever he's at the bar, or he's like, "Hey, I need scotch on the rocks," and I mean ice.
Yeah.
I mean ice. He gets the thing, and it's like fucking
That's a
it's
rock.
rocks, and he's like, fucking dunes. A car, when the taxi's driving the car, and then it's like a car driving a car. I don't know why. I fucking love that. And then also, there's a reference in here later whenever they're hiding out, and Judge Doom comes to the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Is when he's like, "Oh, there's a rabbit here. Hey, Harvey, you know, hey, come say hey." That's a reference to there's a play and also like a 1950 movie about a man who has an imaginary friend named an imaginary friend who's a 6'2", 230-pound rabbit.
Yeah.
It's called Harvey. The rabbit's name is Harvey, which is just funny to me.
Dang. Deep
Yeah.
reference. Or maybe
I
was it
know,
deep at the
which
time?
I was like, wait a second, that's a reference to something I know. But yeah,
I mean,
I guess I'm thinking now, it's like Roger doesn't really. I still stand by the fact that he's a toon and doesn't need to, I guess.
yeah.
But I guess
It just feels like there's a little something missing. Like the dynamic, the relationship between them doesn't necessarily grow. Like, I don't know. I'm not convinced Roger Rabbit. I'm not convinced he makes, like, he's the cause or he helps make Valiant change or grow. Like, I think it's super internal and a lot of things, and he wants to help Roger. He wants to do him right.
Yeah.
But I think that's the elements that's missing.
Well,
Is maybe even just a crack of it. Like, there's a scene where Valiant takes Roger to the bar to lay low, and he's like, just chill out, lay low. And then he leaves. He comes back because Roger's a wanted rabbit. And so Valiant leaves. He comes back and he sees Roger just partying out, doing bits, having fun, like living out live. And I think if you just saw a crack of a smile or Valiant being kind of cool or something, there's something there. He's like, huh, yeah. But instead, I get why he's mad. I get why he's mad, and that's the realistic reaction. And maybe if that was what happened, I would have, or maybe if he like jumped in, I would have been saying he needed to crack down on him.
yeah.
So it's hard to say, but I think something like that. I don't know if it's that moment, but I'm not.
I think that at the end, the whole him being a cartoon, being a human clown, I think that brings it home for me.
I just think it's so internal.
But I guess my question to you is like, just
Like,
because why does Roger need to bring that about? Because he's a cartoon. He doesn't need to change. He's been set up for murder.
I guess he doesn't need to, but I just feel like there's like a tie. Like there's something.
Yeah. Well, I think that, yes, a lot of it is like subtextual, I'd say, where it's like him looking out for Roger and not turning him in and continuing to fight this case does signify that being around Roger and like seeing the like sort of like the joy of it.
Yeah.
There's no like hand holding, hey, here it is, this is what it is. In the end, Eddie Valiant, all he needed was the joy. But it's like there because he gets together and he does his little clown bit.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe where it's like it feels like it's missing is because it is so like this is how this man who's been angry at Toons for so long This is how he would want to do this stuff. This is how he expresses it. This is how this sort of like repressed part of him in the last moment comes. So I don't know. I think maybe there's still something that I agree with you in, but I don't know, like in that like sort of thought.
Yeah. I mean,
there's obviously something I connect to there, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm still having a hard time even vocalizing it myself.
I do love when they're in the handcuffs and he's like I'm cutting them off. We're gonna cut these handcuffs off, and he's like, oh, would you want me to do something like this? And he like takes his hand out of the handcuff. He's like, you could do that whenever you wanted. It's like, yeah, but not until it was funny.
I missed that. Again, I had to be working while I was doing this on the side. I'm definitely going to be rewatching this movie within a year or two. To me, this is an all-time classic, and I'm a fan of the comedy YouTube group Funhouse, and one of the members, Elise, always references this movie, and I get why.
Yeah,
and knowing her style of comedy and the things that she's recommended in the past on their podcast and stuff.
It's good because it's a good send up of like old Hollywood, classic classic noir movies.
Your childhood.
And then also like hitting that like you're watching cartoons.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's that like sort of like clean comedy because it's like it's just situational and it's ridiculous. Like that's the thing that's the difference between like this comedy and other stuff where it's like it's just like even the specificity of things. It's even them shooting a perfect square around the door handle.
Yeah.
And then kicking it like that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Or it's funny to me at least.
Yeah.
You know, and they're just like no, I don't know what you're talking about. And, you know, Robert, oh my God, you fucking put it in my brain. Roger Rabbit. Robert Ebert. Him having the rabbit under the water and that like sort of like that tension, you know? And again, with comedy, it's like it could easily be dramatic tension where it's like, oh, the clock's running out. But because of the ridiculousness of it, it's funny. You know, it's comedic tension.
I mean, even just like this guy's got a gun to him, and he's like, shove a bar in soap in his mouth.
Yeah,
like the tension's there because there are loose cannons, but it doesn't need to be like this high stakes. Like, I don't know. Like the danger is here, but it doesn't take away from the fun of the movie, which I think is just tonally perfect and well, just good characters, good situations.
And then I'll say is that
I also love how the weasel comes up to him 3 separate times. Like it's just, how about now? How about now? And he comes up to him 3 separate times with a gun to him.
Which is like a cartoon though. That's how they did the cartoon. Man, I'm watching this scene again, and I guess I didn't really fully appreciate the
animation.
The interaction with real life because the
real guns.
The real gun pushes like into his cheek.
There's camera movements with like two things, like the camera's moving while one of the weasels was moving towards and away. A lot of impressive stuff.
And then they throw the weasel into the window blinds.
Yeah,
and it affects the window blinds. It's like I don't know It's cool.
Yeah.
And I guess again, I watched this movie this morning, but I'm like we're rewatching it in the background, and I'm like, damn, that's fucking intense shit right there.
Yeah, I mean, the movie's got so much going for it. It hits so many different genres, so many different eras, vibes, and blah blah blah. But it's also Marvel. Like it's just fun to look at.
Yeah. Do the
set, do the effects, do the mix of practical and 2D animation.
Yeah. Well, and it does, and the thing is it doesn't lose itself in any one of them. Like it loves all of the things that it's referencing, which is I think you can tell whenever.
Yeah, it's made with love too.
You know, where it's like even if we're making fun of this sort of thing, I love this. The reason I'm making fun of it is because I've seen enough of it.
Yeah.
That I can point these things out in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's just. really freaking cool. It's really nice.
I think we also have the benefit of growing up with these cartoons.
Here's the moment where he's like, "Oh, would you like me to do this?" And he just pulls his hand out.
That's good.
Yeah.
But like I don't know if kids are watching these things today, like all the classic Acme and Tom and Jerry and all these like classic cartoons. Like kids have cartoons today, don't get me wrong. But and they weren't like I think there's a weird crossover time with growing up late 90s, early 2000s, or just 90s 2000s, was that there was a ton of rerun of all the old cartoons.
Yeah.
Just all over the place, all over just because they were syndicated, and it was good content to put out.
Shit, I watched I watched the Flintstones a bunch because
Yeah, me
that
too.
was what was on like Cartoon Network really late at night, and the Jetsons too.
So, and to me, like I didn't know to me, I just watching them though. I loved them, and obviously there's a lot of stuff that wasn't okay now, and wouldn't and that's probably why they won't live on as much or longer, or in a very altered state.
But you also think about it as like you think about and you could kind of go either way with it. Is it okay? And again, we're not the people to be talking on this.
Yeah.
But like Bugs Bunny, how often he dressed as a woman, and it's like, well, he dressed as a woman to do a punchline of a joke, and it's obviously that's sort of like the gender dysphoria thing it's not a joke. That's a thing for people, but it's like, so does Bugs Bunny, does it help or hurt that? Because I know that, I never got the sense that he was making fun of it. I think that he was.
I always just
I don't
took
know.
it
This is a weird precipice of a conversation that we're standing on, but I just think it's like, I don't know. There are some things that are like kind of built in that are, that maybe don't play, but I still think that they, at the basis of it, it's still like really fucking cool.
Yeah, I guess just like, I think anyone could watch this, and still, anyone as in anyone younger than me, by 5 or 6 years younger.
Yeah,
I think you still could, but I think there's it just throws in an extra another awesome thing into the bowl of this is hitting my nostalgia of watching and loving these cartoons, and it's the same thing with Space Jam even. Mm-hmm. So.
I think this hits better because it's...
Oh, yeah, this is definitely better than Space Jam.
Obviously it's better, but in terms of just being a story...
Because it's a love of the cartoons where... It's a love of cartoons where Space Jam is we're super fucking specific.
Well, it feels like the...
Which is fine.
I feel like the cartooniness of Space Jam is we're capitalizing on Michael Jordan and figuring out a way to do this. It's not about, this is much more, the story is the thing.
Yeah.
I will say, the way that Jessica Rabbit wibbles and wobbles isn't fair and is not appropriate for an animated character to wibble and wobble that way.
Why? What do you mean?
I just don't think the heft of her bosom.
I mean, she at certain angles, from her chest to her shoulders, depth wise, is so deep.
Yeah,
her angles are insane. And wasn't she just I was just drawn this way?
Yeah,
which is what you were kind of riffing at the beginning.
Yeah, which is also just I just think that's great too, that she's
But also calls into question the autonomy, because that was another weird thing with the Donald and Daffy bit, was it was cool to see them on stage performing and interacting in the crossover. But I was also questioning, are they servants? What is their autonomy here? What is going on?
Well, I mean,
and then the fact that they're just drawn away, and that's who they are.
Yeah.
So Jessica Rabbit is doomed to just being a
sex pot,
Yeah.
Thing. It's not this is the same thing where Betty Boop, where I thought that was interesting too, where she was just
She cast aside.
She was yeah, cartoons are moving to color now, so I'm work's dried up a little bit, but this is,
Here I am selling cigarettes and booze.
And it's just, I don't know. It's interesting. yes, part of me is like, hey, that's not fair that she wibbles and wobbles and jiggles and stuff, which is maybe not great for me to say or whatever. But it's also kind of like, that's the role that they gave her, so she has no choice other than to do that.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting thing.
But obviously they got married, so they have like, oh damn! I just drank some water and went down the wrong pipe. I'm trying to speak.
Joke some water.
I drank water. But obviously they have autonomy. Like they chose to marry each other.
Yeah.
And they are seems like celebrities. But it's like, so does every cartoon exist as a product of show business? Like, is it like how do cartoons create? Like, do they only exist as because they were used once or needed for something?
Well, boy, we're asking some existential questions.
These questions don't need to be asked. The movie doesn't really.
The movie's not necessary. It's just that's the well, how does this work? Puzzle.
Which I'd never actually questioned besides the moment of autonomy and like the servant role.
Yeah, I didn't think about that until we started talking about Jessica Rabbit, and she like that. And I think I've lost that line. I'm not bad. I'm just drawn this way.
Yeah.
Like, I think I lost some of the, like, because just examining that a little bit more, it's like, that's like an incredible statement of like, listen, oh man, that's like a free will thing where it's like,
yeah.
Like, is Roger Rabbit actually want to be good, or was he just like taken from?
Well, I think that's
like a leftover
icon.
Well, he's like a leftover from Briar Rabbit, and like you take some Briar Rabbit and you put some Bugs Bunny and like maybe like Goofy together.
Sure. He's a mix of them all.
And then that's Roger Rabbit, and he's like, I was just made this way. I have to perform, and I have to do these schlocky bits.
Well, I think that's part of what I guess I'm referencing. Is
but
that
I actually want to be an engineer.
Yeah, that'd be funny. That's my thing. Is that he's like, that's what my disconnect is, that he feels predestined, and more or less maybe all of them feel predestined. So it's like, what's going on here?
These weasels. What do these weasels actually want to do?
Yeah,
they want to consume. They want to be critics. They love watching comedy, and they want to be critics. They want to talk about it. They want to be exposed to it more. But instead, because they're drawn as henchmen.
Yeah, that's
they have no other course than to be henchmen. Like, this one really hates the taste of cigars, but he was drawn with a cigar in his mouth.
Yeah.
So he always has to be smoking a cigar. Oh, man.
I mean, again, this is not to say needed to explore these questions.
No, it's just fun to think
but
about.
I think it's just fun to dig in. But I also think maybe it brought up my disconnect with Roger Rabbit in the
Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, Roger Rabbit in the whole story arc in his development, because maybe he doesn't develop because he's who he is, because he was drawn that way.
Yeah,
and that just feels a little weird.
Huh. That's just an interesting thing where you have these sentient beings. I'm just thinking about it. You have these sentient beings who exist in this world and are drawn to be like Jessica Rabbit. She is, oh my gosh, dude. Rabbit. Jessica Rabbit. She's drawn to be like the next iteration of the sultry cartoon or whatever.
Yeah.
And so she automatically has loaded in her like the voice and the desire to sing these songs, and she knows them. Like, she's like a little bit like she's got them loaded in, but she's come like, yeah, it's just like what is her actual desire as she goes toward and she marries Roger Rabbit and she tries to spend more and more time with him. And it's like, is that her bucking her predestination a little bit?
Yeah.
Or, I mean...
Maybe, because it's like, why are you with him?
I mean, but he's funny. It's been...
Well, that's her reason. It's like, he makes me laugh.
He's not the best patty cake player in the world, but he makes me laugh. But it's just... I don't know. I did not expect to go down that rabbit hole or that
No.
thought stream.
I got another rabbit hole.
Ooh, give it.
So as a kid, I loved cartoons. Like, I just did not watch live action. That's why I wasn't a big Disney. Like, Disney had its cartoons, but there's a lot of live action stuff, so I just didn't tune in as much. I love cartoons. That's all I watched. And with that said, I thought they were real.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, up until a certain point, but I thought they were real. And this is what I thought. Like, this movie, more or less, was similar to the concept, as they were actual things filmed on sets. They existed and they looked the way they did, but they were filmed on sets to look this way, and they existed. And so when I learned that when I was a little kid, maybe 5 or 6, and I asked about where Tommy Pickles was, could I see him or whatever, and my dad said he's not real, he's drawn.
Yeah.
And
you're like, wait, what?
yeah.
I could,
but I don't know. Like, it's just, this is what I thought it was like. I thought this is my understanding of the world in cartoons as a kid, and I think that's, again, another reason why this movie hits so well for me.
I think that there was, and I think that Space Jam kind of set us up for this a little bit as like kids to kind of feel that.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing Space Jam and being like, okay, yeah, they just exist in a separate place. And I remember thinking
I was 4.
That came out in 96.
Yeah, so I was 4.
I was 5
Okay.
or so. But I remember, I mean, listen, I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I saw it when I was 5, but
that was an event.
That was, I mean, Space Jam, lock that in, baby. But I remember watching, and again, we were talking about Flintstones and the Jetsons, and they had Flintstones and Jetsons crossovers, and the Martian guy, the Great Kazoo, showed up in both of those shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they were much more blended than like that sort of era. And then even like the classic Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, etc. Like those also blended where, I mean, for the most part it would be like, this is a Bugs cartoon, but seeing them all in one place in Space Jam definitely set it up. It's like, all right, yeah, they all kind of exist in the same world.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that movie is good at setting up the rules of the Toon world, how it existed parallel to our reality and what purpose they served.
Yeah.
Again, were they just servants of our entertainment, or like what was it? But
well, then you can, it's like, what do they exist for? Where's the origination of them? And also, as they exist now.
Yeah.
As they exist now,
as they're irrelevant.
Are they
old.
like? Have you ever read American Gods by Neil Gaiman?
No.
So that sort of presupposes that the gods exist, like the gods exist based, like directly based off of how much people believe in them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they still retain their godly form and stuff like that. So Odin's still kicking around doing his stuff, but he's not as powerful or prevalent because people are believing in them less. And also I might be mixing a couple different things, but sort of like playing with sort of that idea is that their world, sort of like a fairy world, is like, they exist in less and less of a space because we believe in them less and less because their stuff is consumed less.
It's like Santa, pretty much in a lot of movies where it's like Santa exists off the power of believing or whatever.
Yeah, where it's like they need to need to exist. They need to be consumed in order to exist. They can't exist without their people.
I mean, that's probably one audiobook.
Huh?
Like that.
American Gods?
Yeah.
It's really good. Because, like, the new gods are, like, it's like...
Did they make it into a show?
They made it into a show on Showtime. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. I'll probably
just
do the
because
book
it's
first.
so hard to see where Showtime stuff is. It's like, I've got so many things.
I think Amazon lets you latch on.
Yeah, but I don't want to pay another...
yeah.
Again, I've already talked about
We got
this.
Paramount Plus now.
Yeah.
God. Which HBO was like... I was like, okay, fine. And like after having it for a while, I was like, okay, they bring a lot to the table.
Yeah.
This is good to have. And, if I ever... Like, Netflix is where I go if I want, like, something I'm not going to pay attention to. Yeah. I go to HBO if I want to watch something.
Yeah, you go to HBO when you're like, all right, I'm watching this.
Yeah.
Netflix is like, I'm going to kind of pay attention. I don't know. It's I think I've said this before, where it's like I get on like kicks where I'm like, all right, I'm watching Netflix stuff.
Yeah.
And
Just
right
cycle
now
through the inventory.
I'm watching HBO stuff.
Yeah.
Mainly a product of because I'm watching
Sopranos.
The Sopranos
Yeah.
on and off. But I mean, I forgot my thought. I had a thought, but I don't remember what it was.
I love a thought. I
was talking about the. Sorry,
No,
I was
good.
talking about the existence of cartoons, and anyway, I had finished my thought.
Okay. Well, the entrance to Toontown is super similar to the entrance from the Muppets land into the Star Wars land. It's very similar. It's like the same concrete kind of facade in Disney World.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was interesting.
Huh.
It's a concrete facade with a little symbol over the top, and you just go into the tunnel, and then you're into the next dimension. I don't know. It was interesting.
That's funny. I was actually watching. I watched somebody's review of the Super Nintendo World in Japan.
Oh yeah.
I watched somebody go through it or something like that.
I think that was the creator of Mario.
Well, I watched that, but I also watched somebody else.
Dang.
It
looks cool, but I just don't see. It's so compact.
It seems really small.
Yeah, and I just obviously they're gonna have a reservation system where you're in there for 3 hours and you got to get out, and then a new batch of people, whatever. And they're obviously gonna have to do that.
Is that because of COVID or is that?
No, they did that with Star Wars Land when that opened up. Even
damn, you only get 3 hours in Star Wars.
Star Wars when it opened, you only got 4. You had to sign up. You had to get it. You had to get reservation in, and then you only had 4 hours.
That's.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
I don't
when
know what it is the size wise, but I remember going to Harry Potter.
It's spread out. It's definitely because both Harry Potter lands are very long and narrow, especially Hogsmeade, and Diagon Alley is because it's a main thoroughfare.
Yeah.
But it does branch off a bit. But the Star Wars area is like 2 big triangles, so it's very spread out and very open.
I can't imagine trying to get all that stuff in there in 4 hours.
I spent the whole day there because when I went, that's passed, and I went during COVID. Did not get COVID. Felt very safe.
Thank
Wore a
goodness.
mask the whole time. Got tested after. But I'm a big Disney parks guy, so going at this time with the right precautions felt like a special opportunity to just
see a bunch of stuff.
do everything.
Yeah.
And so I got to do all the Star Wars in a day, and it was awesome. And I cried when I made my lightsaber. It was a magical time.
That's really cool.
Yeah. They milk it. It's so fucking cool.
It's so funny too because I kind of jumping off that saying where it's like, yes, I watched the thing, but I saw a video that was like, hey, walk through the Star Wars thing, and I was like, I don't want to see this because I want to go in person.
Yeah.
Then it's like there's probably less of an opportunity for me to go, not necessarily opportunity, but I like video games, but that was never my bag. The Super Nintendo stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, I knew it, and I knew that people played it, and I watched people play it, and I played it. And I was like, cool, nice. Let's do something else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not drawn to it. I don't need to be in that world. I'll go. It'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'll probably end up going to the one in Orlando when it's built. But I'm not dying to go.
I'd like to go to Japan. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the.
I want to go to Japan and go to Disney Sea.
Yeah.
Which is the best Disney park.
Is that like a SeaWorld type thing?
It's just there's Disneyland, there's Disney Sea. It's not even like SeaWorld-y. It's just
Oh, cool, good.
just.
I feel weird about zoos,
Yeah,
especially.
it's not a zoo. As far as I'm aware, there's not any focus on animal stuff. It's definitely not a Magic Kingdom with water or anything.
Gotcha. Well, I have complex feelings on zoos because I'm like, man, I love gorillas. Oh my gosh, it's so cool that I get to see a gorilla. And then I'm like, oh man, that gorilla's not supposed to be here.
Yeah. Well,
the I know
the
that
things
it's
they have in Disney are pretty cool though in terms of the big openness.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. It's just fun to watch them with their because the trick I learned is to go do the animal stuff first thing.
Yeah.
And with the new Pandora park, the Avatar land, it's like, go do that first. Which, if you want to do it, you got to get in there early. But if you want to see the animals and do the safari, because every time I've done the safari ride, they have to take the left turn or whatever it is and do the B plot with the poachers and pretend like you're getting chased.
Yeah.
Because they do that when the animals are boring and not out.
Because they're not out in the middle of the day when it's the hottest.
So my girlfriend recommended, like, we got to do it in the morning, first thing. That's when they're fed. That's when they're active. And I was like,
yeah,
let's do it. And it was amazing. Every single animal was out, running around.
That's
pretty much
awesome.
saw every single thing. Giraffes walking parallel with us. We were stuck because a water buffalo was just chilling in the road. And he just didn't want to move. He's like, I'm here.
And I love
that. You
guys
gotta wait.
And I love that. But again, there's part of me that, I don't know. It's so good because it's like educational and also like rehabilitation. But it's also, those are just things that need to be in the world, but also I really like seeing them and like hearing like all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's so, I don't know, like, cause that was when I went to Thailand and we went to, it was a big fucking clusterfuck. Not Thailand in general, but this one day in particular where we went to go to this place called Chiang Mai Night Safari. And we were like, hell yeah, it's a night safari. Wow, that's like crazy as fuck. Oh my gosh, we're going to do that? That's wild. And then we get to this place and it's like a zoo / like theme park that's called Night Safari. So like even during the day, it's called Chiang Mai Night Safari. It's not like there was a safari like ride thing at night.
Yeah.
But the whole place was called Chiang Mai Night Safari.
It's just like, okay.
And so we went, like, it was really cool to see, like, we saw like there was like a feeding, they did like a night feeding of like their like predators.
Yeah.
Or it was like they went from low to high. And they had stuff that wasn't predators too, but it was like their night feeding.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was like tigers and stuff. Damn. And it was like, damn. But it was also like, oh man. And there was one that was like an older lady white lion who was just like clearly was like, like my back legs hurt, bro.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh man, this sucks.
That's sad.
But then we did go to the night safari, and that was pretty cool. And they gave us bananas.
Dang.
And we saw elephants.
The Animal Kingdom Lodge in Disney does one of those because the lodge has like a bunch of animals that you can like walk out of your hotel room and you just see giraffes in the morning.
That's
and zebras, pretty sick. But at nights, there's night vision animal safaris on the lands. You get to wear night vision and see them. Because
that's the other time when they're very active is like at night because it cools off and they can kind of like, that's where they like sort of shift and stuff.
Yeah.
But one of the things I'll say, maybe there's some places, and do your own research. But if you go to Thailand, anybody out there, don't do elephant rides unless you've properly like vetted them, because they have a big problem with elephants. Technically, they're not built to carry people really, and so their backs aren't they get fucked up. And just
I've been on an elephant once as a child, and I'm good.
Yeah.
Remember, I was in the front, and I could feel it's like your hair rubbing against me. I was like, this is wild. But yeah,
just do your research. Is what I'm saying when you do stuff like that, because there's just such an easy way to. It's just such an easy way to take advantage because animals can't take care of themselves, But yeah, all this talking about Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, I mean, dude, if you don't have any reviews ready, we can.
I don't really have any reviews ready.
Yeah, we're at hour 10. We can wrap it up.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a good movie. I don't think the reviews would pull up anything interesting. Honestly, it's a solid fucking good movie. I give it 4.5 stars out of 5.
I'm gonna give it
4 pizza slices, 4.5 pizza slices.
I'm gonna give it
a cartoon thing. I'll give it 4 Dumbo bullets.
Damn, that's what I was gonna say, bro. Damn, I was gonna give it 5 out of 6 because there's 6 in a chamber.
Yeah, I'll change it.
Oh, I will say
I'll do 4.5 peanuts. Then you can take that.
So in one of these is the voice of the old hound dog in Fox of the Hound.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, with the voice of one of the bullets, and it like triggered that memory, and I was like, "Oh my God, Fox and the Hound! Oh my gosh, I haven't seen that movie in so long. Oh my gosh, that movie was so sad."
It's crazy the way things can stick with you.
And also, it really, I was like, "Oh man, is he gonna get those bullets back?" He's firing those things.
Well, when he shot the first one, I thought he was gonna come back and
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
But he only shoots 4 bullets, and he's like, "Oh, these guys fucking suck," and he throws the gun
and
away.
he throws the gun away, and it's like, oh, it's like this is a special president from Yosemite Sam.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. It was just like, man.
I guess we got that. It served its purpose, which it didn't really serve a purpose, but
Yeah.
and then we toss it. All right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, definitely, this is a classic movie, and there's a reason it's a classic because there's so many little bits in it, like. You know, it's just such a good movie. It's so fun. It hits all the moments you want. Like, I feel like there's a reason that we jumped off on like the Disney World tangent.
Yeah.
You know,
No.
and also I think, you know, probably subconsciously there's a little bit of like you were talking about their autonomy, making me think of like my feelings on zoos and stuff. You know, where it's like, oh man, it's so fucking cool to see them here living their own life.
That's why Jurassic Park is such a cool, interesting thing. Is it's like it's that cross section of theme park attractions in zoo animals.
Yeah.
Because what was it inspired by? Oh no, then that inspired Westworld, which was the same idea of like machines.
Yeah.
For theme parks and pleasure and leisure breaking down and turning against you.
Well, didn't Michael
autonomy
Crichton
there.
write them both? Yeah.
He wrote Jurassic Park, but
I
then
know that. Yeah. I actually like.
No. Sorry, Westworld came first. Jurassic Park was based on Westworld.
It's kind of like if robots, then why not dinosaurs?
Yeah, like other attractions. Oh,
Yeah.
dinosaurs, cloning, blah blah blah.
I love Michael Crichton.
Yeah.
Well,
He's like 6'8" or something crazy.
he was very tall.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that and being like,
He looks like he was one of the founding members of Microsoft. just looks like that.
it's so funny too because like sometimes like there's like a person who's like incredibly strong and they do something like they're an engineer and it's like there's no reason for you to be that strong.
Yeah. Don't make me feel bad.
Why are you so strong and also good at science and stuff? Or like Michael Crichton again, not that being tall is a talent, but it's like why are you so tall? Like that one of my favorite math teachers was 6'7" or something like that. And he was just like this tall dude.
Why do you gotta be tall?
Why are you being so tall?
I mean, being buff and in shape is one thing.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why I equated those two together.
Yeah, I worked real hard to be 6'3".
I worked I work for every inch of my 5'10".
I stretch myself out daily.
I do.
Drink
I do
milk.
those special exercises where you like go against and you reach your head up, try and
I just
lengthen
hang
out your
from a
spine.
bar.
Yep.
I hang upside down too, just to even it out.
Can't have one side be longer than the
No,
other.
some people do, and it looks weird.
Yeah, it's true.
That's why. If you ever wonder why someone has a huge torso, it's because they're hanging too long. You gotta flip and hang from the legs.
You gotta hang from your legs and hang from your arms.
Yep.
Otherwise, you'll be unbalanced.
That's how it works. All right. Well,
Well, as they say in Toon World, hit us up on Twitter at Stinky Podcast. Tell us why I'm wrong about zoos, and I'll say I don't care. Please don't support Joe Exotic or the Tregembo Zoo. Also, tell us about different cartoons that you liked. Tell us how you thought cartoons worked. Tell us why you love John. I love John.
yeah, let me know.
Let him know. Well, as they say in Toontown,
What is it?
that's all, folks.
I think we did that on Space Jam too, but oh well.